So now you get to fight the merchant. Yay!
Well, this really sucks.
There's a contradiction in your gameplay.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so the undead curse, which explains why you're all gross, um, is that the undead, mankind, so the lower class below
Fuck.
below the gods. At least you get all the stuff that's important.
Yeah, but I feel fucking shitty.
do you
This
have
is
the
not
do you
this
have
is not the way
do you have the
of the
stats?
Chomsky.
Do you have the stats of the for the Uchigatana?
I definitely doubt I do. No.
14 and 14.
Okay.
I love that weapon though.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm probably gonna yeah, I'm definitely focusing dexterity because it helps with pyromancy, so I'm probably am gonna end up using it.
nice. Does it help with pyromancy? I thought that the whole thing about pyromancy is that it doesn't require any stats.
It increases casting speed.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're undead, and the gods can't stop it, and that is a problem for Gwyn and the gods because you will keep coming back, and if you keep coming back, no matter how many times you get killed, eventually you're gonna do to the gods what the gods did to the dragons. They figure this out over millennia, over time, and the solution for Gwyn is to create the undead asylum where we start the game and send all of the cursed undead to the asylum to just put them somewhere else, to use a SpongeBob line.
Essentially like a political prison in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, or like wage slavery or whatever you want, whatever metaphor you want to make, but
Yeah.
basically do something that locks them up, physically or mentally or whatever, so they can't cause trouble.
Yeah.
And that's where we start the game, is in that undead asylum. We're one of those undead. Um, what I'll get to in a second, and the reason we listen to what Oscar had to say, is the role that Oscar plays in it, because that's super dope. But leading up to that point, in the Age of Fire, there is resistance. And this is what gets the gods so shook. For instance, the character Havel the Rock, who we encounter in the game,
Hmm.
helped Gwyn in his fight against the dragons. He was like one of his right hand soldiers. But he despised Seath because Seath was a dragon and a traitor and, you know, not cool, right? Why? So Havel was like, why are we including the dragons in our war against the dragons? Havel goes on to revolt against Gwyn and is then locked away in a tower not far from where we are right now. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the place in the game where you find his set, his armor set and weapon, you also find an occult club. So the implication there is that he was learning occult knowledge to try to end the gods, basically. Um, the f-
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, just Hot Chomsky is back.
Hot Chomsky. There he is in all of his rippling glory.
Yeah. Yeah.
The furtive pygmy, also mentioned at the beginning of the game, is the father of mankind, the father of this lowest group, through his uh, acquisition of the first flame, which leads to the dark sign on all of the undead, which is what makes them undead. It's sort of the symbol of their curse. So that causes an issue for the gods. Also,
Hmm.
the witches of Izalith try to make their own children
Hmm.
artificially with fire.
Yeah. Using their own like mirror of the flame, which is
Yes,
very interesting.
yes, they made an artificial flame and then tried to make life out of it, and they end up creating demons, which we encounter a lot in the game, which are these twisted, covetous spawn of the Age of Fire, and what I have written in my notes here, twisted, covetous spawn of liberalism. So we'll get to that. Uh, the demons are forever afterwards, constantly at war with Gwyn's knights. The knights that he used to take down the dragons, who were silver when they fought the dragons, are now blackened
Mhm.
from being burned by the demons. So that struggle continues. Also, finally in the resistance category here, is the loss of humanity. Over time, the cursed, like yourselves, and everyone you're killing also, um,
Yeah.
go hollow, which means you become decayed and decrepit and whatever, and you look like the guy from you look like the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Do you even know what I'm talking about? Do you know what the Crypt Keeper was?
No.
Yeah, it's from like the 70s, or maybe even earlier. But
Still even for you.
yeah, well, yeah. I've been old since I was born. But
Oh.
but uh, not only do you like look gross, but also your mind goes, and you become violent, and you end up. All these guys were guarding this area when they went hollow, so they continue doing that even in undeath. You kind of end up in a routine, right?
Mm.
To me, that loss of humanity over time is the loss of consciousness that so many people experience under capitalism, where
Oh.
you just got to just get to the end of this week, man. I'm so tired from work, and I can't think about that. And yeah, I know that politics is important, but like I can't watch the news. It's just it's
Yeah.
so much, and I just don't have enough time to keep up. That's the loss of humanity to me. Is
Yeah. No, I think this one's a fake thing, right?
No, that's a real one.
Yeah. Okay.
You're good.
No, I think that's an excellent analogy. It also plays into like some of the fan theories that the undead curse is like actually created by wind to help perpetuate the Age of Fire,
It's possible.
and that's how, and that like derives from like the image of the dark sign itself, where it looks like humanity is darkness, and then the dark sign looks like a ring of fire, which is the symbol of the gods
Right.
burning the darkness.
And yeah, and keeping it
You know?
penned in,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's my feeling. And so I feel that the loss of humanity is, there are some who never really get that consciousness to begin with, but even those that do, who are like, I know it's important to stay informed, but it's also exhausting, or
Yeah, yeah.
or I would go and protest, but I can't afford to miss work or whatever. And we all do this. Like, no one
Hmm.
is perfect. We're all cursed. That's the whole
A little
point.
hollow.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
all somewhere on that journey, because we all have the dark side, because we're all cursed. That's the whole thing.
Hmm.
And the people that don't have to do that, the people that don't have to say, "Oh, I don't have time for the news. I don't, have time to protest," are the people who are benefiting from the things that
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
consciousness is raised against, right? Like, they're the
Yeah,
gods. They have the time, but they don't have the need to be informed, because
yeah,
they benefit from things staying the same. So there's no reason for them to be informed about stuff.
yeah,
And yet they
yeah.
have the time to do it. Um, so that's the idea of the resistance that we kind of step into.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if the dark sign is this activated consciousness and a never-ending cycle, then going hollow is again the antithesis, which is losing your sense of revolution, losing your sense of wanting to make change and do better in the world.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I like that analogy a lot.
Um,
I, oh,
oh yeah, is there anything up here? I don't think there is.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever been up here before.
Yeah, I think it's just a. They should have put something up here, because I feel like this would have been a good spot to
Yeah,
have a
I
secret
guess it's
item.
just a shortcut to down here.
Only barely though.
Yeah, not super helpful.
My last piece is about Oscar,
Hmm.
who we meet in the undead asylum at the beginning. He gives us our Estus flask. He gives us the key. He lets us out of our cell, because he's the guy at the beginning that tosses that body down, right, so that you can get out of your
Uh-huh.
cell. And I think that he and what he means in the story is what cinches this whole argument for me, which is
Uh-huh.
he says, and it's sort of a joke with me, that 'cause if you remember, he says there's a saying in my family, and then he says this like long fucking monologue, and it's like, really, that's a saying in your family? Like, you all just know that? You have that paragraph memorized? But whatever.
Uh-huh.
I always felt that was a strange way. But anyway, he says it's a saying in his family, and it's the undead prophecy is the saying in his family.
Uh-huh.
So his family were, a bunch of charmers. Um,
Mhm.
and he says, thou who art undead art chosen to make pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords and whatever. And he basically gives you kind of your quest about what this whole thing is, right? Which is leave the
Yeah.
asylum, go to Lordran, the land of ancient lords, a perfect name that is awesome and not lame,
Uh-huh.
and 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 basically fuck up the Age of Fire. Like, that's the idea. Is like
Mhm.
this is all fake. We all know it's all fake, but everyone's so hollow and so jaded that they can't help but just perpetuate what they were doing before they went
Yeah.
hollow. And it's like, you might have a chance. You specifically
Mhm.
might have a
Mhm.
chance. So go do that. So Oscar gives you that.
So
Yeah.
you think that Oscar is not intending for you to restore the Age of Fire? You think he wants the Age of Fire to come to an end?
Yes, because if he wanted
Oh,
you.
for
Oh, you can't leave this spot. I've had this happen to me.
really?
This is a bad zone. This is an unleavable zone.
Oh no. Do I have a homeward bone?
Maybe. Probably not. No home bone.
God damn it! No.
All right. All right. Is this going to be death number 3?
I guess.
No, you've had one
Fuck.
you've had one since then cuz you had to re-hollow it or reverse hollowing, I think, right?
I don't know. I'm just depressed.
I think you'll be able to get your souls back. Oh, wait, can you get down there? Can you jump down to that ledge?
Oh, is that what this place is for?
Maybe. Oh my god. You lucky son of a bitch.
That was
I
very
didn't
lucky,
I
yeah.
didn't think you could get out of there. Okay. So I think that if he wanted you to redo the Age of Fire, I don't
Uh-huh.
I don't think that it's necessary to rekindle the flame because this is all artificial
Yeah.
light, right? So if it were necessary to rekindle the flame, then they wouldn't lock up undead, I think,
Uh-huh.
right? Because they would need
Uh-huh.
them as kindling. They would need them to relight the fire and start everything over
Hmm.
again. But they don't because they have a fake fire and they live in a fake world. And
Hmm.
so I think that they lock away the undead because they know that eventually one of them is going to figure out that they can end the Age of Fire.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so that's my feeling on it.
Yeah, I think that mostly makes sense. I think because at the end of the day, they only need one undead to rekindle the flame.
Right.
So I think they just like assume that the one undead they need to like mislead will escape and that they'll be able to manipulate them to restore the god's powers.
Sure.
And it'll make them feel better or whatever
Right.
in the meantime. And I think that because Gwyn and Frompt are both very intent on getting you to restore the Age of Fire. Like they
Yes.
take active steps to lead you down that path
Right.
instead of like sending you back to um the prison,
Yes.
which they could have if that was just their primary.
Good point. Very good point. So Oscar basically his whole thing is one of us. It could be any of us in this asylum, but one of us is going to end the Age of Fire. It's
Mhm.
bound to happen, but there's not one chosen one. It's any of us that could do it, and the game reflects that too because with playing it online, you can see the phantoms of other players, which are
Yeah.
presumably other timelines where someone else does it and it's not you, which is
Uh-huh.
this very sort of it's the opposite of the typical story where you're the chosen one and you're special because you're special and whatever. In this case, you're special because you're not special, which I think is so cool in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, he's letting people out of the asylum, and he keeps doing that because he could go. He could go try to do it, right? He could leave the asylum because he's free, he could leave and he could go try to do it. But if he does that and fails, then he'll be the only one who made it out. If
Mm-hmm.
if instead he uses his time to let other people out and let them go, he increases the chances of group success, which I think is
Yeah,
a beautiful metaphor, personally.
that's pretty smart.
Um, he does that until the asylum demon kills him, because he lets you out. He's up on the roof, right? He drops down the body,
Yeah.
and then later you hear a crash, and you find him, and he has been knocked through the ceiling into
Yeah.
a cell, which you only access because a boulder hits it and breaks the wall, but he would have been trapped in there. Um, the asylum demon is also on the roof and jumps down when you
Oh.
start that boss fight, right? So the asylum demon has taken that big old hammer and just knocked him into a cell and is like, okay, you're done. Go back to being a prisoner. Now,
So the asylum demon is like the prison warden,
yes,
essentially.
yeah, exactly. Um, now, what does after Oscar tells you the prophecy? What does he give you? He gives you his Estus
Yeah.
that he could have drank, right,
Yeah.
and not died,
Five.
but he's trying to get other people out. It's not about him going and doing it and being glorious. It's about somebody getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
And so
It's all about sacrifice.
yeah, and he entrusts that to you. And he says, I'm not going to make it, but you might. So give it a try. Here's some, some Sunny D. um,
Pretty much.
so to me, that's what I have in my notes. But to me, what this sets up in the story of Dark Souls, especially in Dark Souls 1, is this incredibly um, complex dialectical story, which
Mm-hmm.
the more
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, the less I think that it's a coincidence that these things line up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree with that. Absolutely.
I'm not necessarily saying that the creators are all Marxists or something, but there's a certain story understanding that is very different than the traditional Western story. And
Yeah.
I think that it is a very smooth interpretation, in my view.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, yeah, I
yeah.
think it lines up pretty intuitively with like dialectical materialist understandings of the world.
Hmm.
And it would be pretty hard to imagine that they just happened upon them.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So those are the notes I have to get us kind of
Mm-hmm.
started on dialectical Dark Souls. What are your thoughts? What kind of notes do you have?
But anyway, so I mentioned that I have something of a fan theory
Yes.
that's still very much in development about Nito and the Chaos Sisters and like another dialectic. So this isn't necessarily a like mass like a content deviation from anything you've said, but I think the better analogy for the dragons than feudalism is either just nature and the rise of humanity in total, or like primitive communism, which is like tribal societies, etc. And the reason I say that is I think that this kind of goes back to the Hegelian aspect of it, where you know before the lord and bondsman relationship, everything is stagnant and nothing is interacting with each other. Nothing even really has an identity before then because there's no dynamism, dynamism,
Dynamism.
something like dynamism.
Yeah,
There you go.
dynamism. Yeah.
Um, Everything is stagnant and still, and that is essentially what the dragons represent because they exist in a vacuum. Their nature untouched in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and what the rise of the gods is the rise of humanity to begin with, and they're not. They're clearly not like primitive communism because they're clearly like a hierarchical
Right.
society. So maybe it's like ancient Roman society in general or something. But it's like the rise of the first
agrarian.
hierarchical civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then I think that darkness represents, in some ways. So let me take a step back. The reason that's the reason the reason that the rise of the gods represents the rise of like the ancient system of production is that, or possibly also feudalism, is that they're the first interactions between man and nature, right?
Sure.
Whereas previously it was nature untouched, and then we come to the Age of Dark. And what we learn from the dark ending in this game is that that is not a non-hierarchical society.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's a whole.
It's led by the Lord of Darkness, who's like that represents the agent of change in fucking Kate's analysis,
Yeah.
right? He's like the equivalent of the bourgeois in the French Revolution or the proletariat in a socialist revolution. And he essentially is the new Gwyn. So even though it's man now coming to dominate over nature itself, it's still like a hierarchical version of man.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the gods represent the nobility, because the nobility were supposed to be of noble blood and like have their own genealogy, etc.
Right.
Whereas under capitalism, which is what I think the Age of Dark actually represents, you have, everyone has the illusion of being equal. We're run by men, and we acknowledge that, but it's still very clearly hierarchical.
Shit. Shit. That's good.
It's still better. It's still better than the Age of Fire, where, man isn't even ruled by itself.
Right.
It's ruled by an entirely different species in a way.
Right.
Also, I'm not really playing the game. I'm just wondering.
So just to play off of that,
yeah.
What jumping ahead to Dark Souls 3, because at the end of Dark Souls 1,
Dark Souls 3 really complicates things. Yeah.
Well, no, I think that it helps what your argument is, though, because
yeah.
At the end of Dark Souls 1, we find out, we choose to rekindle the Age of Flame or start the Age of Darkness, and we feel like those are the choices. In Dark Souls 2, at the end, spoiler alert, you because I know you haven't played it, you don't get a choice, and the point is that doing either one is just going to start the cycle over again anyway, so it actually doesn't matter which one you choose, which kind of plays into what you're saying. And then in Dark Souls 3, there's this whole thing about the Deacons of the Deep and the Age of the Deep, or about have you played the DLCs of Dark Souls 3?
I haven't gone through Ring City yet.
Okay, but you played the other one. The Painted World of Ariandel also, so there's the Deep, and then there's also the Painted World of Ariandel, which are these conceptions of a time or a place beyond the cycles of this world. And so maybe the Painted World or the Deep is the socialism, is the non-capitalism. Like maybe I'm playing off of what you're saying, and I think it's actually really good, where it plays into the whole thing where it's like you keep thinking you're having revolutions, but you're just starting the Age of Fire over again, or the Age of Darkness, and it all ends up being roughly the same. Yeah. Damn.
There's also the end. There's also like a few sort of mysterious endings in Dark Souls 3, because they have like 4 endings or whatever.
Yes.
And it's possible that they're very like hard to
achieve,
I guess, translate.
Yeah.
But it's possible that one of them represents like socialism, and that could almost be its own video. But where chaos and death fit into this, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more doomer, I suppose, is I think they represent their own dialectic, and I think they represent the dialectic beyond Fire and Dark. So I think that once you get to the Age of Darkness, assuming it's like through Kaith's path, the next struggle is between chaos and death. And I think this is all very much a work in progress theory, but I think chaos represents life and, perhaps even man's attempt to imitate like Gwyn's ability to create life through the chaotic flame, and death represents the end, the destruction of society. And so I think that possibly what might be the next dialectic, assuming you go down the path of you go down like Cape's path and you don't get, you know, real socialism or whatever you
Yeah.
get, like the Dark Lord.
You get social
The next
democracy.
dialectic is the next dialectic is you trying to maintain chaos and life and dynamism versus death and what can only be assumed to be the destruction of human civilization. So like global warming could be, or like nuclear
Wow.
war might be the
Wow.
analogy.
That's good. I never
Yeah.
I always really liked the fire chaos element of these games and never
Mm-hmm.
fully knew where it fit in, but
Yeah.
that's really profound because the chaos, i.e. fire, is the life-giving change agent
Yeah.
in the story. And it also is playing on a real life understanding of fire. I mean, you think of
Mm-hmm.
Prometheus bringing the fire to,
Yeah.
the mortals and then being eternally tortured for doing so because fire was meant to stay on Mount Olympus. Like it's part of our
Yeah.
culture, human culture, to think of fire as sort of the beginning.
Life giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and so that's really good. And then if you if you usher in the age of dark and there's no more dialectic between light and dark, but the world is not stagnant, so there must be a dialectic. It would make sense
Uh-huh.
for the next one to be chaos uh, and death because
Yeah.
you've already settled the light issue, but you also have to settle the the life issue, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly.
So then,
It's like the struggle between, and in a way, death represents a return to the dragons and
yes,
stagnation, which is
primordial, yeah.
kind of dialectical in itself, like transformation, where you had all this life going on, and now you're back to death and stagnation.
It's that cycle. It's that cyclical thing. Um,
Cycles within
cycles
cycles.
within cycles. This is no, that's good because, but I guess then that begs the question, and that's something that we can get into more in the future. But it begs the question:
Hmm.
if the dialectic then becomes chaos and death, does the resolution of that struggle mean either the return to the primordial, the return to stagnation because of the wipeout
Hmm.
of humanity, or the
Hmm.
alternative is some sort of socialist equivalent? I mean, I feel like we don't ever
Yeah.
really even see that in these games. So
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to
Uh-huh.
imagine what resolving that dialectic
Yeah.
would
If there's
mean.
like a way to break out of the cycle
Yeah,
without resulting in death.
yeah, exactly. And that again, that I think that plays into, I'm gonna start getting real existential and stuff now. Oh, why did you try that? Why did you try
If
that?
I could get it. God damn it.
Go fight the Black
It's
Knight.
fine.
Go fight the Black Knight. You're dead anyway, so just
Yeah.
give it a shot. Um, uh,
You have to be able to reach that.
well, yeah, but you do it through you kill the Black Knight
If they
first.
buy the Black Knight,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
oh my
Oh,
god.
that's too, dude. This is like what happened with me on my first one, where I died and then immediately died in there again. All right,
Yeah,
that's two more.
yeah.
Okay, so
God.
you're up to four. So this is gonna start getting really existential and kind of depressing, if it wasn't already. But like
Oh.
but like is that then that question is death the only way out of this? Are we all going to go hollow eventually? Is it inevitable,
Hmm.
including fucking Chomsky? who at 90 years old is like trying to get us to vote for Biden for some fucking reason, right? Like, are we all eventually going to go hollow? Is that the thing? And the only way out is death. Is that part of what this story is about, I wonder?
I think that, yeah, I don't think it poses an answer to that question as much as the point of the story is to pose that question. I don't think they think they have the answer. I think that, part of the process of this game probably results from the creator's existential crisis and active process of trying to solve that question.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But it's such a great thing because at least for me, I mean I've gone through times in my
Mhm.
life where I wanted to die, but
Yeah.
like it's for me generally speaking the um the answer is no. There's got to be something I can do. There has to
Yeah.
be. There has to be an answer here, and if I just work on it hard enough and
Hmm.
devote myself to it enough, I will find it. And I think that
Hmm.
that's like a human thing. I think that a lot of people historically have, famous and not, have had that
Uh,
feeling, and yet here we are
yeah.
asking some of the same questions. So I just don't know.
I think that the endings in Dark Souls 3 provide a possible answer. I don't know. Do you know all of the endings in Dark Souls 3?
Well, one of them is rekindle the fire. One of them is usher in the age of dark, just like this game.
Hmm.
There's a third one I don't. Oh, no, I don't remember what the third one is, and I know what the fourth one is, the super special secret ending, because I've gotten that one before,
Hmm.
where you usurp the Age of Fire and you start the Age of, I think it's the Age of Hollows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's four endings. I'm gonna spoil all.
You're gonna get
I
spoiled
did not realize how I knew it was gonna be hard. I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be to talk about this and play
and
with
play. Yeah,
spoilers.
not welcome to my world from last week.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, hit me with them.
I feel like I need a chalkboard, but there's four endings. There's the first one, which is continue the Age of Fire. The fire looks pathetic. It's not nearly um close to restoring the golden era of the Age of Fire.
Right.
Like the rekindling does not look as glorious as it does in this game. That's the first ending. The second ending, which I think is most closest to the dialectic we've been talking about so far, is the Lord of Hollows ending, where, like in this game, you become the Lord of Darkness, only they have a different word for it, Lord of Hollows. And you essentially establish like this new age of man, but there's still hierarchy. There's still domination among men, very clearly.
Uh huh.
There's two more endings, one of which I think I understand, one of which I really don't understand.
Okay.
Um, the third one, they both involve the Firekeeper, and they're both like pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
The third one is, you know, I haven't gotten these endings, so I'm not entirely sure how you get to them. But the third one is you kill the Lord of Cinder or Soul of Cinder, whatever he's called, and instead of like reigniting the fire, you and the Firekeeper just let it die out, and then you go into the Age of Darkness. Um, but you're not the Lord of Darkness. You see, you're just another dude in the Age of Darkness, and you and the Firekeeper at the very end, the Firekeeper like calls out and asks if you're still there,
Yeah, I've gotten
and
that
that
one.
goes on.
Yeah.
But there's not any established hierarchy, so that might be socialism. That I think is the closest we see to achieving like a classless society in these games.
I
That doesn't necessarily mean that they transcend like the chaos versus death dialectic.
right. What's the fourth one?
The fourth one is the one that's most confusing to me. Instead of like teaming up with the Firekeeper to let the flame die, you kill the Firekeeper and you take the flame and you like hold it up to the sun, essentially. And that's where the game ends. And I have no idea what that means.
So okay, so I always thought that it was rekindle the fire. That's normal. Let the fire
Mm-hmm.
go out. That's Age of Darkness. When she says, "Are you still there?" I thought that was the
Mm-hmm.
Age of Darkness one. I thought that the Age of Hollows was different from the Age of darkness because it is not because it is about hollows and not about the gods anymore. I thought that was the idea there, but I'd have to go back. This bears further research and talking about in the
Yeah,
future.
I think it is slightly different from the Age of Darkness in this game,
Yeah,
but my understanding is that the Sable Church or whatever that you use to get to the Age of Hollows in that game comes from Kaith. Like that Kaith was the person who sort of organized it.
right.
Um, and I think Kaith just had a change in strategy where instead of ushering in a complete Age of Darkness and crowning a Lord of Darkness that way, instead you gain, in his view, like more power by usurping the flame
Right.
and then crowning Lord of Hollows, who then uses the flame to like increase his power or something like that.
But I'm gonna be talking out of my ass here because again I have I
So you mean what we've been doing for the
the
past like
entire
2 hours?
thing, yeah, the entire thing is talking out of our asses. No, but I this is kind of shooting from the hip. But
Mhm.
maybe assuming all the things that we're saying, maybe the one that you're the most confused about is the socialism one. Maybe the one where and it doesn't have to be socialism. Again, here's the nuance. Like it can be any post-capitalist thing. But maybe the idea of that one is an actual sacrifice has to be made. The Firekeeper has done nothing but help you, and you
Yeah.
kill her because the sacrifice has to be made so that you can restore the fire from the bonfire to the sun. You see what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
everyone gets the fire. It's in the sky now.
It's not like the Firekeepers.
Yes.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Whereas previously, maybe maybe in the Age of Darkness, like you're not the one taking control, but leaves the vacuum that someone has to become
right.
the Lord of Darkness or something.
Right.
Whereas in that analogy, that might make the most sense, where instead of like in the Lord of Hollows, you monopolize the fire for yourself, you give it up to the sun for everyone.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
I don't know. I think that in a future one we should really, especially when we get to that game, we should because we're only in
Yeah.
the first level of the first game. But I think that we should.
Yeah.
I think that we should really delve into that and what that means in terms of ending the
Absolutely.
series because that's really interesting and I hadn't really thought about um, those endings
Yeah,
yet.
no, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
That's cool
Well,
though.
the first episode will be about the dialectics of Dark Souls, and so will the last.
Yes.
You know
Yes, of course.
what the? Oh, and my controller like just disconnected. That doesn't.
Oh my god. I said out loud when you died, I said, "Are you still there?" Which is exactly what the Firekeeper says when you do the Age of Fire at the end of Dark Souls 3.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to cover. I think that we should do some more deep dives into individual characters and stuff over time, and talk about other
Yeah.
things. But I wanted to kind of get this uh, first real theory episode with the Dark Souls thing because I've been thinking about this for years now. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
about all of the symbolism in these games being so much more than just cool fantasy stuff, which is also dope,
Hmm.
also awesome. But um, I feel that there is, oh yeah, go fight the Black Knight with all these guys following you. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, aggro the Black Knight.
Uh, I thought. I thought I could choke point them with that aggro.
I accidentally counted your crash death, so I'll just leave it because that death counted. So,
Okay, that's fair.
um, but yeah, there's a lot of richness in these
Mhm.
games that uh, has been delved. I think I got to give a shout out to Vati Vidya who does amazing
Yeah.
lore videos and is
Yeah.
where I get so much of the
I love his stuff.
research information. So I mean that has been done, and we stand on the shoulders of giants who have already done the interpretive work of the game.
Hmm.
to then add in this, political philosophy element on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Parting notes?
I don't think so. Um, fuck's sake. Just that I'm slightly less bad at Dark Souls normally. Honestly, not that much better, but
It needs to be said. Do you want to try for the Taurus demon?
Yeah, I'll do. If I do that, then I should rest at the bonfire first, and then just I'm at full Estus.
Yeah,
I
and
was gonna.
you can run
I'll
it.
come back tonight.
Yeah, you can run it too. You can just run past everybody.
The hope.
This week, I am sponsored by whatever it is that allowed Marx and Engels to have, and Nietzsche to have amazing mustaches.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm pretty sure is just genetics because it's not anything else. But I'm gonna pretend it was like a tonic that they took.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, steroids or something.
yeah, yeah, it's like
Mustache
a
steroids.
mustache tonic. Because, boy, did they have some impressive, amazing mustaches that I wish I could mimic, but
Not really fair, no.
no. Yeah. All right, here you go. Anyway, that's my sponsor.
I'm sponsored by Hot Chomsky's Amazing Thong.
His amazing what?
Thong.
Oh, thong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. His amazing thong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That's It's important to remember the thong, even when we can't see it. Although
No.
he does have a bit of a whale tail going right now.
Huh?
He does have a bit of a whale tail going right now. You can see the top of the
That's
thong a
true.
bit there,
Yeah.
so you know
Yeah, well, can't be
he's teasing.
too slutty for the demon.
Yeah, too slutty for the demon. Now, if that isn't an album name, I don't know what is.
Better be. Better be.
Slutty for the demon. All right, good luck.
Here he comes.
Nice. Nice. Good rolls. Now the narrowness of this bridge and the horns of the demon are symbols for I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Capital.
Yeah, yeah. Primitive accumulation or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
something primitive accumulation. Something
Fuck! No!
Oh!
This was bad. Oh, that worked surprisingly well.
Something material conditions. Okay. This is
Now the game, my computer just needs to hold out for a little while longer.
the real
Come on,
enemy
buddy.
is your computer
Yeah.
GPU.
Woo.
That Uchigatana putting in work. Nice. You go through those legs really well.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This is it.
Nice.
Yes.
You go through those legs really well is the first song on the Slutty for the Demon album.
Noam Chomsky hit. Yeah.
Yeah, the hot Chomsky hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, if that isn't the place, I think I slightly redeemed myself.
Yeah. Oh,
Both
totally.
bad
Oh,
plays.
yeah. Yeah, that was great. Nice work.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
go take a nap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
well, thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we have been La Enragé. Anything you want to say, Taylor? I've been Patrick.
Yep, I've been Taylor and Hot Chomsky. Welcome to our journey.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We'll catch y'all next time.